Mike coming to you from the UK. So a little bit of a different live stream this week because, yeah, I would usually be coming to you from on board, well, whatever ship I might be on at the time. So geographically right now, I am currently in my parents' house. So I'm with my mum and dad this week and I am up in Glasgow, which anyone that's not familiar is what, about 40 minutes away from Edinburgh, which is our capital city. So yeah, I'm here for the next, well, 48 hours before the next leg of my adventure begins, which is what I guess what I'd like to talk to you about today. Lindsay and Mark, I think I saw a little comment from you pop up. So hello, lovely to see you, and thank you as always for joining. What I'm trying to do at the moment is I am also just setting myself up on my laptop down below so that I can see any comments coming in. And yeah, what I will do is zoom all the way into one side because otherwise I'm talking to you here, looking at you, looking at you here, and I can also see me down out the corner of my eye. So yeah, definitely not, definitely not got the concentration for that. But anyway, yeah, if someone could just give me a really quick thumbs up to let me know that you can hear me, that would be absolutely excellent. Hopefully you're all having a good summer. That's us now. What is it? Mid to late July now. So summer holidays are well and truly kicked off. So yeah, I'm quite glad I've had a couple of weeks here in Britain to, yeah, probably escape the busyness of cruise ships at peak time. So yeah. Anyway, Lindsay and Mark, I can see Alison, you're here as well. Amazing. Thank you very much. Stephen, hello. Rob, so I guess what we'll do, right, before I jump into any questions, the way that we'll work our live today is any questions that you've got, anything at all, it would be amazing to hear from you. So fire it into the chat function, which on my screen is over that side, I think, but I can't even see my finger anymore. I think it's over that side. Fire in any thoughts that you've got in there, and yeah, we'll work our way through. I've also got a bit of a channel update to give you, and I also want to, I guess, chat to you about the next part of my trip because, yeah, it feels a bit weird that that is getting ready to kick off. But yeah, if you're new here, feel free to click the subscribe button and you can come along with me. And while you're here, I can see 23 people here already, which is absolutely excellent. Give this little live stream a thumbs up and that would be amazing because it'll help to push it to more people as we go. So I can already see loads of you are commenting. We've got people sort of from all over. Kelly, you're dialing in from Boston, so good afternoon to you. I am constantly getting confused with the US, the US versus UK time zone, but I'm going to have to get used to it because I am coming over in your direction very, very soon, but we'll come to that later. Who else do we have? Stephen, you're here. Stephen, you're usually in Scotland. I'm hoping that you're still here, so good to be along the road from you today. Who else is here? Mike, welcome. Susan, looking forward to your next adventure. Thank you very much for following along. Alison, you're now going back. Yeah. Yeah, Alison, let me come back to that. We've got a couple of you guys in from Amsterdam as well, so hello. And Neil, hope all's well, can't wait to hear what's next. We'll hopefully, over the next, I don't really know how long we'll be here. We'll either be here for half an hour or we might just chat for an hour, depending on how long I go on for, depending on when this coffee beside me runs out, which my mum has just very kindly brought through for me. But yeah, anyway, Alison, you were saying there about the British weather, and honestly, I can tell you now that I think the UK had summer prior to me actually arriving back from Greece. So the week before I did my Greek Islands cruise on Rhapsody of the Seas, which was when I last spoke to you guys, everybody here was posting photos, posting videos in the ocean down south of England. They were in the lakes or the lochs up in Scotland, and everyone was sunbathing, and it was a complete heat wave. Fast forward 14 days to me arriving off of a plane, and yeah, I think it didn't, to be fair, it's not been wintry, it's not been cold, it's just been wet, really cloudy, and yeah, pretty grey. So I mean, I'm not too fussed because I've had a fair bit of sunshine over the last few weeks, but yeah, I think there's quite a lot of people who are, yeah, getting a little bit frustrated at the fact that the British weather is absolutely here. Now, yeah, I think there's British weather and then there's Glasgow weather. So what you can see right now is, and do you know what? It's putting on a show for you guys, but you can see my parents' garden and it's actually looking pretty sunny out there, which that's because I've just told you it's cold, isn't it? So yeah, it turns out we've got a decent day today. If you follow me on Instagram, I have spent most of the day today at Loch Lomond, which is a body of water just outside Glasgow as you head up into the Highlands. So I've been down there paddleboarding, kayaking. I've actually had a lot of fun today. So my younger sister has bought like a camper van. So we've been down there all day today and making tea and coffee in the back of the van and jumping in the water. So yeah, I'm glad I've managed to come home and actually get a proper warm shower before speaking to you guys because yeah, water in Scotland is definitely not warm at this time of year. But yeah, look, let me jump back up because there was a question. Yeah, any questions, fire them in the chat. So Rob, any thoughts on a Norwegian solo experience for a Brit? So funny you ask that. Now, Norwegian was my first ever solo experience, and I absolutely, I mean, I'm no stranger's the wrong word. I don't hold any secrets that I absolutely adore the cruise product that Norwegian offer. Now, from a solo point of view, they are excellent because they're one of the only cruise lines that make solo travelling actually feel like a bit of a luxury. So, as someone who cruises usually on the inner depths of the ship, tucked away on deck one, I don't tend to have many cruise experiences where I'm getting chairs reserved for me or I'm getting invited to these different events. But when you cruise solo with Norwegian, you are, oh, I just love it. So everyone's solo cabin is in its own part of the ship. So they call it the Norwegian Studios. And if you book a studio cabin, of which on most of the newer ships, there's usually like one deck or two decks, and there's a whole section where everybody in that part of the ship is travelling on their own. Now, the best thing about that is that it basically means that if you go to, so there's a lounge in there, and if you go into the solo traveller lounge, it's very obvious that everybody in there is travelling solo. Now, my biggest pet hate, and honestly, I just want every cruise line to listen to me, but at the moment they're not. My biggest pet hate for solo travellers is when a cruise line organises a solo traveller meetup in bar number one, for example. Now, they then have it as an unhosted event, and the minute that one solo traveller sits in that room and another solo traveller walks in, for anyone else walking in, it's very difficult to see where the solo travellers are now because there's no signage, there's no one there to help. And what Norwegian do is because you've all got your own lounge, it actually really, really helps you to meet other solos. Now, other things that they do is that you have tables in the dining room reserved for solo travellers. There's a part in the theatre that usually is for solos, which when I was on Norwegian Escape, it was directly in front of the Haven, which actually is like the very, very high paying suite areas. So yeah, I would massively recommend if you are thinking about Norwegian, give them a go. Now, I'm actually, which I'll talk to you in a sec, but I'm actually heading off on Norwegian, which will be, the beginning of October, I think that is. So quite a few ships from now, but I am going to be joining Norwegian Escape, which, so Norwegian Escape was my first ever cruise ship. So it is the ship that got me into all of this. And I have booked a cabin, which I think is directly next door to the cruise ship cabin that started it all for me. So yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be very nostalgic. I cannot wait to get on there. And I actually can't wait to show all of you what cruising solo in Norwegian's like, because obviously at that point, I didn't have a YouTube channel. I didn't take any of you guys with me. I'm getting slightly distracted because when I look over there, there's currently a black Labrador looking through the glass at me, so we might be joined by a black Labrador shortly. But yeah, I didn't have a YouTube channel or anything at that point in time, so obviously I don't really have a great deal of content. So anytime that someone messages me on Instagram, I just sort of connect them to another video or to another vlogger that I know has been on. But I can't wait to actually be able to take you on to Norwegian Escape and show you around and I guess reassure you that solo travelling on those ships is absolutely worth thinking about. So yeah, cruising solo in Norwegian, massive, massive, massive thumbs up. You have absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, let me have a quick look and see what else is in the comments. Now, where are we? Alison, yeah, I definitely think the sunny weather has left. Alison, I'm not sure where you are. I'm sure you're in England somewhere, but maybe you'll be lucky and you'll get a little bit of this sunshine coming down because, do you know, it's not that bad today. But yeah, give it 2 days when I'm trying to take a train all the way down to the Midlands and it will be absolutely horrendous, I can guarantee. But yeah, so a life in the parks. The weather here hasn't been great, but Norway last week was, oh no. Oh, I'm so sad you got bad weather for Norway. So I did Norway on Virtuosa last year and the weather I got, honestly, the weather I got was like a dream. So I'll never forget sailing out of Geirangerfjord, which is one of the very, very like postcard perfect fjords that you see on a Norway cruise. And we had like 27 degrees and blazing hot sunshine, no wind, not a single cloud in the sky. And that weather followed us for the whole week. The following week, when the same cruise ship went up and did the same itinerary, and all of the pictures, all of the videos were absolutely terrible because I think if it rains heavy in Norway, it's just horizontal because it's wet, it's rainy, it's windy, it's yeah, pretty extreme. So sorry you didn't seem to get very good weather, but I guess that means you just have to go again because surely you're not gonna get bad weather twice, are you? So just keep booking until you get the sun. Neil, so Neil agrees Norwegian studios are great. The lounge is also such a good feature, especially the drinks and snacks being easy to get. Yeah, yes, I agree, Neil. But the last time I cruised with them, you could only get like pastries and things, which pastries, cookies, that was good in there. But the only drinks that I could get in there were from one of those machines. So you know the one that you basically scan your cruise card and then you can get a glass of wine. So that was the only option that I had to get a drink in there. And annoyingly, it meant that you had to obviously buy it because those machines usually aren't included in your drinks package. So yeah, I'm hoping, oh my goodness, if there's a bar in there now, I'm going to be delighted. If there's a bar in there, actually, maybe I won't be showing you guys too much because I've done that. I think they call it, Holland America's Take It All. Is it free at sea, they call it? Where you pay like £99 or something and it gives you Wi-Fi, unlimited drinks and shore excursion credit. So I've basically paid that. So if there's a bar in there, I am going to be absolutely delighted. But yeah, totally agree. Norwegian studios are excellent. Tracy, hello. Excited to hear about your next adventure. I've just started my own independent travel agency after being a civil servant for 24 years. Oh, that is amazing. Well, Tracy, hopefully what I'll talk to you about over the next half hour will excite you. And yeah, drop me a message if any of your clients are going on to ship so that you're not too sure about if you know that I've been on, because always more than happy to help any of you guys out. Rob, glad to hear it seems organic there, booking a last... Yeah. Oh, you're booking a last minute one. How exciting. You might see me... You might see me on there if you're lucky / unlucky enough, because obviously I will be on there in the short term. Mike, going to have to, to book a last minute solo. Well, yep, Mike, you might see me on there as well. Alison, yes, you're near Manchester, okay. So, yeah, to be fair, if you're near Manchester, you'll be getting the exact same pain as all of us up in Glasgow, because Manchester's not exactly the epicentre of a heat wave at the best of times, is it? So, yeah, Mike, you've got you've got blue sky in Norfolk. I think anyone joining now will just think we're doing the weather and we're just finding out what the weather's like in various parts of the UK. Danny, you are so welcome. I'm always just dead happy to help. Like, if anyone knows that I've been on a ship and you've got a question about it or there's something that you're not sure about, like, granted, maybe don't take my advice as gospel 99% of the time, but yeah, always happy to try and lend a hand. But Tina, hello, Tina. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Hope I haven't missed too much. You've really not. All you've missed, Tina, is me chatting a lot of rubbish about the weather and, yeah, telling you that I'm currently up in Scotland. So you've really not not missed a great deal so far. But look, you guys are obviously here to find out about what is happening next. And I guess what we should probably move on to talk about, and I will say that please feel free to continue firing on comments and we'll pause in a couple of minutes and we'll go back and have a look through them. But what I should probably give you is a little bit of a channel update because some people follow me on YouTube, but they don't follow me on Instagram and they don't follow me on TikTok, but TikTok's a little bit disjointed to the other two. So it's sometimes quite difficult if you just follow on YouTube to know where I am at any one time. Now, the reason for that is that my YouTube videos right now last week, my World Europa series finished, which, I got off World Europa back, the first week of April, I think it was. And due to the length of that cruise, so I was on there for 21 nights, and my YouTube schedule, I tend to release 2 videos a week. So, yeah, that's basically meant that because I had what did I have? I think I must have had 15 episodes from World Europa. That has basically taken 7.5 weeks to get through. Now, you then add to that room tours, you then add ship tours, you then add the sort of ad hoc videos that I've been putting on while travelling for the rest of the time. And yeah, basically my YouTube release schedule is a wee bit or a big bit out of kilter with where I actually am in the world. So right now, the video that went live on my channel last night, I had to think what day it was there. The video that went live on my channel last night was episode 2 from Costa Diadema, and I am currently about to release on Thursday coming episode 3, which will be showing you Valencia on Costa Diadema. Now, since that ship, I have done Symphony of the Seas, Costa Toscana, Costa Smeralda, back on Costa Toscana, and then Rhapsody of the Seas. So you guys on YouTube right now are 5 ships behind. Now, don't worry about that. Basically, the reason why it's just important to know that is that you're about to see a situation where on my community tab on Facebook, I am going to try and post on the majority of days to tell you where I am right now. But my YouTube videos are going to just be from a few weeks ago. So it's not an issue. Just head over and maybe follow my Instagram account and that'll clue you in with kind of where I am right now. But yeah, do you know, it actually feels a little bit ridiculous to say you're currently 5 cruises behind, but yeah, don't worry, we'll get caught up soon. What I might do is switch the next couple of weeks to release 3 videos a week, and that way we'll get up to speed a little bit quicker. But yeah, there's also going to be a cruise coming up, which will be a Patreon only cruise. So what that will mean is that the vlogs for that and the ship tour content for that will only go live to Patreon subscribers, which I'll plug in a little sec. But basically that will mean that because that content won't go live on YouTube, it will kind of speed up the process of getting you guys up to date. So I'm yet to decide which ship or which cruise will be that kind of Patreon only. But just to plug now, Patreon. So I have been on Patreon now for 2 and a bit months, I think. Basically, when I got off of World Europa, when I was in Marseille for 5 nights, that's when I launched my Patreon account. Now, what Patreon is, it basically allows you, if you follow along on my journey and you like what you see, you enjoy it, it basically gives you an opportunity to get a bit more content. So I blog on there, for example, I do some live stuff on there, I kind of take you on and show you different parts of the ship that I wouldn't just show on YouTube because it gets more confusing. So yeah, you get blogs on there, you get more ship content, and you get a kind of a direct line to me if you like. And you can tell me that's a good thing or not, but let's say it is for now. But basically on Patreon, you can commit to anything from, so in pounds, it begins at $2.99 a month. So the reason why it's sitting around that price point at the moment is that I love a coffee, which, as I said, I've got one here, so I adore a coffee, and I wanted to make it that for a monthly subscription, it would cost you less to sign up to support the Fraser at Sea Patreon than what it would be to go to your local Starbucks and get a coffee in the morning on the way to work. So yeah, you can jump on at $2.99. It gives you blog access. It gives you access to like kind of the different videos that I post. Or you can then work your way up through the tiers to get like early YouTube access and loads of different privileges. But if you're interested in that, after this video goes live, I will go to, well, it's live right now, but after this publishes to YouTube, I will jump on and post a link to my Patreon profile. But if you basically just search www.patreon.com/Fraser@Sea, you'll have all of the options, and yeah, that will also give me the ability to direct message you when you join. So yeah, if you're interested and you've got any questions, give me a shout and let me know. But yeah, anyway, that back, let me just pause because I've just offloaded a good bit about my kind of YouTube schedule. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is my ships that I'm going on next, because yeah, I'm honestly just so excited for this next bit. But let me pause and go through the comments because I could definitely see some flicking in out the corner of my eye. Shoe Burglar just joined, hope I've not missed much. I think you joined actually just before I started that last bit. So had you joined now, I'd have said, yeah, you maybe have missed a fair bit. But don't worry, when you joined, you were getting it all. Before that, we were just talking about the weather. CH, yeah, for some reason, CH, your initials are coming up, but your name hasn't loaded. But it's not an issue. So, hey, got a question. What do you do for a living to be able to cruise for an entire year? Good question. So, yeah, in terms of what I do in the real world, if you like, so I work in IT, and I'm actually not working this year. So a lot of people are kind of messaging me to ask if I've got a job that allows me to work remote, and that's what I'm doing on the ships. But I'm actually not working because I'm on a sabbatical this year. So I'm not sure where you're asking that question from, but in the UK, in some lines of work, it's getting more common now to be able to request and to be able to go on what we call a sabbatical, which is basically where we can, if you get it approved through your work, you can sort of hang up your jacket for anything between 2 months and 12 months usually, and then you can go back at the end of that period. So yeah, oh, you're from France. Okay, well, I don't actually know it. It might be the same in France, but I applied for my sabbatical, so I have taken from March until January. So I've taken a kind of solid 9 months. I always laugh that I've basically just taken a maternity, but at the end of it, I'm not going to have a baby to be responsible for. So yeah, I've got about 9 months off work this year, and yeah, as a result of that, it gives me a lot more time to speak to you guys, and it lets me take you on all these ships, which yeah, is proving to be a heck of a lot of fun so far. So yeah, that's what I do in the real world, and the reality is that over the last 12 months, I've been sort of really aggressively saving to allow this year to happen. Quite a lot of people think that, some of them, oh my goodness, some of the messages this year were asking like what lottery I had won, how I had come into all this money, but the reality is it's pretty boring. I've just worked and saved, and I'm now in a position where I'm able to kind of take a step back from work and head off and yeah, see a bit of the world, which is really, really exciting. I can see our numbers creeping up. We've now got 49 on the live, so it's amazing to have so many of you guys on here. I laugh every time I go live because I genuinely run around before I come on thinking, look, this is the first time I haven't done it actually. I usually have a scrap bit of paper that's got conversation points on it in case nobody joins to talk to me. So it's amazing that 49 of you are with me today. If you are here, then please think about jumping down below and clicking the thumbs up on the video, just because that massively helps the YouTube algorithm to push this live and to push my channel out to loads more people, really. So it's always really useful if you are on a live feed from any type of creator, just jump underneath and smack the thumbs up button, and that would be brilliant. And someone's just done it because it's just went to 22, so thank you. Now, anyway, hopefully that answers your question about what I do job-wise. and someone else has clicked it, it's gone to, oh my goodness, it's gone to 26. So I'm now looking at the thumbs up button rather than actually looking at anything else. It's so distracting. So yes, thank you at 27. Thank you guys. So yeah, Danny, what's your future MSC cruise in the fall? Good question. I'm tempted not to answer that yet because if I start jumping, it's going to get confusing to go through properly with people. But I will tell you, we've now got 32 thumbs up. This is excellent. What I will tell you is that we'll come back to look at the MSC schedule as part of my kind of ship overview, which I will do just when I get down to the bottom of the comments, which are down in the bottom left of my, I was going to say the bottom left of my screen. It's very much in my real world setup. They're on my other screen down here. So Tina, I think you left a message before my laptop jumped there. Yeah, you're definitely out of order. That's why Insta's best to figure out where you are. Yeah, do you know, Tina, someone that shares that opinion is my parents because they quite often will message me and be like, where actually are you today? And I'll get their message when I get back to the ship at night, by which point I've already uploaded all my Instagram things. So yeah, they're able to keep in touch with where I am by also following along on Instagram. So it's definitely easiest to think about going on there. McKenna, yeah, the YouTube timeline has been confusing. To be honest, it's probably not going to get that much better as the year goes on, just due to the fact that there's so many ships coming up, and because they come in such quick succession, when I do a vlog series, it naturally will push everything out of sync a little bit. But yeah, hopefully it will continue to be fun for you guys. I guess you'll have to guess where I am when the videos go up each week. Now, Tamara, YouTube shows me the content randomly anyway, or maybe that's just my YouTube. Okay, I was going to say good. Well, it's reassuring that your YouTube shows you everything randomly, because I sometimes think people must get really annoyed when my videos come out. Tony, hello. Tony, hello. It's lovely. It's so good to see like familiar faces and familiar names popping up on here. VT Physics. Vanessa, you're on here. If you are still here, hello. It was lovely to meet you last week. So yeah, I bumped into Vanessa down in London last week, which yeah, was lovely. If anyone is interested in kind of physics / sciencey bits, head over to check out her channel. So it's vt.physics. She does a lot of very interesting YouTube shorts actually. UK, won't you like to get an IT dot cruise ship? That would be fabulous for us. Oh, an IT, I think, wouldn't you like to get an IT job on the cruise ships? Is that what you mean now? If it is, the way I would answer that is I'm really, really happy where I am at the moment, career-wise and company-wise. So, yeah, I mean, I always say who knows what the future holds, but at the moment, I'm like really happy to kind of take a step back, switch off from the corporate world and get ready to go back in January. So, yeah, who knows? But at the moment, really, really happy. Now, Mike, what's your top tip to get the best cruise deals? Good question. So I'm going to do a full video on this because one of the really painful things that I get stung with on pretty much all of my cruises is a solo traveller supplement. So if anyone's following this channel at the moment and you don't cruise solo, then you might not know that if you do cruise on your own, you normally have to pay, like, I call it like a penalty, which basically means that they could sell that room for two people. So if it is, for example, £1,500 per person for the week, then you'll quite often find that as a solo, you will pay £2,000 to have that cabin to yourself because they could have sold it to two people. Therefore, you'll pay for one plus a little bit more as a supplement. Now, some cruise lines charge you the full double fare, which I completely disagree with. There's only one cruise line this year that I'm allowing them to charge me the full double fare, and it's because it's an itinerary that I am dying to experience. So apart from that, none of my cruises this year are charging the full double. Now, in terms of how to get the best deal, I always say you need to get a travel agent. You need a travel agent that knows your budget, that knows how you like to cruise, that knows you as a person, and that you can build a really good relationship with. Now, I've been really, really fortunate that my travel agent knows me inside out now. So it's at the point now where going out to the end of last year, if she saw deals coming up and she knew I had holiday left, she would just send them over and ask if she wanted me to book to book onto it. So yeah, get yourself a good travel agent. There's also some really good travel agencies out there that you can use to search for different prices and stuff. Now, I won't name drop them in this video, but what I probably will do is just include it in the video description for anyone that's watching on the playback after, because there's some travel agencies that specialise in solo travel in the UK. There's some travel agencies that specialise just in cruise generally. And yeah, I always say that if you've got a good travel agent, that's definitely your easiest or your best way to try and get deals, so to speak. So 100% source a travel agent, hunt one down. Also, I'm always more than happy to, if you fire me a direct message on Instagram, I can come back to you with like the name of my travel agent, and I'm sure she would be delighted to support you with your future cruise bookings. Anyone watching this who's a Patreon subscriber, I'm hopefully going to catch up with said travel agent and put together some tips and some stuff for you guys on there as well. So yeah, but don't worry, I'm not going to continually plug my Patreon channel. Kirsty, late to the chat, apologies if you've already covered this. What are the rest of your itineraries for this year? Don't worry, haven't covered it yet. I'm actually working my way through the comments, and then I'll get back to talking about what ships I'm going on next just after that. Greg, I think I know you. Well, if you do, are you friends with a person with Linda? I know a Linda, if that helps. I know a couple of Lindas, if that helps. So yeah, if I do know you, then hello, or if you know me, then hello. Thank you very much for joining. Stephen, what sites do you recommend to get the best solo deals? I think I've answered that, so I'll come back and I'll link them after, just so that it's not on the video, but I'll link them in the description just after. Susie, apologies if I've missed it. Where are you off to next? Susie, don't worry, we're getting to that. Absolutely do not worry. Maya, you're here, hello. My goodness, there are so many of you here today. So we're now up to 54. And you know what I'm going to say, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button already, we're currently on 36. So 36 thumbs up and 54 people doesn't equate quite right. So if you've not hit it, down you go. Johnny and Will. Oh, Johnny and Will, hello. So Johnny and Will have actually just come back from Marella Voyager, which is the new Marella ship. If any of you are interested, head over and have a wee look at their channel. Let me see, what are you guys saying? So we may have missed this, but how many more cruises in total have you got left on your maternity leave? Quite a few. So the next batch of ships that I'm going to walk you through is a further 7, and that will take me up until October, and that's almost back to back from now until the middle of October. So yeah, I've got a further 7, and then I've got a further section at the end of the year, which that's the part that's the itinerary that I've been dying to do, so I'm actually paying the double solo fare. So yeah, I'm going to fill you in on that bit at the end of the year, probably on my next live stream, because yeah, there's still a few bits that I'm trying to piece together on that at the moment, so I don't feel totally confident in telling you about it yet. But what I will tell you in this video is the next 7 ships. So Tamara from Holland, it can be up to 80% more. Yeah, we have exactly the same in the UK, unfortunately. And what we find is that if you go on the newer ships, you get completely stung. So that's why I haven't done, for example, a lot of cruising on the new celebrity ships, despite the fact I'm dying to go on them, because they charge me for 2 full people. And to be perfectly honest, I just refuse to pay it, because I think it's a little bit ridiculous, because yes, I can eat a lot, but I can't eat 2 full people's dinners. Although some of you who watch my Insta stories will probably be questioning the truth in that statement. Connor, even the solo cabins can be pricey. Yeah, so one of the issues with the solo cabins, particularly with P&O operate very clearly on supply and demand. And what that means is that when your room type, when the supply or the number of available cabins goes down, the price climbs. So to give you an example, P&O Britannia has got, 30 solo rooms or something, if that. And what that means is that when they're 100% available, the price will be down here. But when they drop to be 50% available, which means that there's only 15 rooms have been booked, but the price will climb. because half of them are now gone and it's obviously a room that people want. Now, what that means, and not a lot of people realise this, that quite often means that when you go onto a cruise ship, you need to always make sure that you look at all of the different room types, because quite often on P&O, it can be cheaper for you to book an inside cabin for two people than what it is to book an inside cabin designed for one. Another example of that is that on my Britannia cruise that I took just after lockdown, so we did like a British Isles. Do you know what? We didn't even do a British Isles cruise. I took a cruise from Southampton that took 6 nights to go to to Liverpool. So it had one port, and in Liverpool, I wasn't actually allowed off of the ship because I didn't book an excursion. So yes, I did a 6-night cruise that actually just didn't go anywhere. But the point of that, sorry, was that there were people on that ship who I met at the solo traveller meetups who had paid less for their balcony cabin for two people than what I had paid for my balcony for one. And I was in like a tiny balcony cabin with a single bed. So always make sure, there's some ships that I'm going on later this year, which let me get this right, my balcony cabin was cheaper to book than my ocean view cabin would have been. So just always make sure. That's one of the things that people always think an inside cabin is the cheapest on a cruise ship, and it's not. Take that from me. It's definitely, well, it usually is, but it's not always. Now, where are we at? Mike, thanks, Fraser. Yeah, the solo supplements are not great. Yeah, look, my take on that is that if we continue to badger them, then yeah, hopefully it'll go down. There has been some amazing progress in the UK and there's some really, really good deals coming through. But yeah, there's still a long way to go. Greg, yes, I do know that person. So yes, it sounds as though we probably do know each other. So hello, thanks very much for joining my live. I was actually with her at Loch Lomond this afternoon. So yes. Michelle, finally caught you on live. I was on World Europa with you. I was with my friend Christine. Yes, okay. Michelle, it's so good to see you. So, I met Michelle outside the Coffee Emporium I think we were on a day at sea. I think it was just before we entered the Suez Canal, and we sort of put the world to rights. And I think her friend was, for some reason, I don't know how, but completely baffled by my accent. And yeah, Michelle, I think you then basically just performed as my translator for the rest of World Europa whenever I would bump into you. So yeah, it's really, really good to see you. So thank you so much for joining. Maya, do you think booking a cruise from Europe is more expensive than from the USA? From what I've heard from some US travellers on the NCL Gem, I got that feeling. Do you know, this is something that I've warred with. This is something that I've warred with for months at the moment. Because what I've generally found, and it might not be true, it might just be the examples and where I've been looking, I found it much more difficult for a Brit to pay less than a double fare going on a US cruise than it is to get in Europe. So I don't know. From what I've seen anyway, I'm paying less for my European cruises as someone living in Europe than what I'm paying for any of my American ones as someone living in Europe. So I've booked all my American cruises through the UK, and yeah, I found it to be quite an expensive route. Now, the only other example I can give you is I know some people on Virtuosa last year who, when they came from the US and they heard how much I had paid for my MSC cruise, they were annoyed, is probably the best way of putting it, because they had paid significantly more to come over from the US. So there's definitely something going on there. But yeah, I had asked a couple of American travel agents to help with price checking and stuff, and I didn't see a massive difference. So I don't know, maybe I'm just looking at a dodgy time, but I don't think there's a huge amount in it. You used to get people advising you to use VPNs to book through another country and whatnot, but I think, to be honest, it's probably more hassle than it's worth, really. Danny agrees with a good travel agent. Each time I book, she always tries her very best to find the best deal possible. Yeah, completely agree. I have saved a fortune this year because of my travel agent, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, definitely make sure you've got one. Now, I am going to cover 5 more comments, and then I'm going to tell you about my ships for the rest of the year, because otherwise I know what will happen. I'll get to 56 minutes in, and you'll all be thinking, you're now going to rush this in the, in the last 2 minutes. So 5 more comments, and then I will jump into my ships for my next leg. Now, Stephen, what do you think of MSC Yacht Club? Good question. Now, I've never cruised in Yacht Club, but I have quite a lot of friends who have, and I've been in the Yacht Club on Virtuosa, and I recently got in the Yacht Club on World Europa to have a look round. Now, for anyone that's not familiar, Yacht Club is like the suite-only section of an MSC cruise ship. So on Norwegian, they've got the Haven. It's basically just the version of that for MSC. Now, what do I probably can't really give you an honest review, if I'm perfectly honest, Stephen. From someone who cruises on the great unwashed side of the of the Yacht Club barrier, I think it looks excellent. The service seems to be really good for MSC, and I think they're probably attracting a much more premium price point and a much more premium cruiser by having that sort of ship within a ship situation going on those big mega ships. But what I would say is that from a price point, it's just never been where I need it to be in order to afford to go on. So from what I've heard, it's getting more expensive, and more people are getting quite frustrated with the price point the Yacht Club is now coming in at. But yeah, I've never heard any really bad things about Yacht Club. I think anyone that has cruised in it does really enjoy it. I can tell you that on World Europa, they do a cracking afternoon tea in Yacht Club on your day at sea. So if you're into that kind of thing, then definitely make sure you get booked in for that on your day at sea. But yeah, sorry I can't give you too much more of an overview on Yacht Club because I've just never been in it. Alison booked Britannia in the past really early to try and not pay quite so much. Yeah, you and I both, Alison. I think, yeah, we've both been stung by that. That said, P&O do some really good solo deals if you leave it last minute. So my P&O Azura cruise, which was the Canary Islands just before Christmas, I paid like £500 including my flight, and that was 7 nights. So yeah, if you're in the right place at the right time with P&O and they need to fill the ship, then at that point they kind of drop all the fees and it's pretty cheap to go on. But Stephen just went on Ventura but didn't rate it highly. That's a shame because I really like Ventura. So Ventura and Azura are obviously sister ships. Now I did Ventura straight after the international cruise barrier got lifted. So I did, like, where did I go? Lisbon, Bordeaux, I think it was, and a couple of other ports in Spain. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed Ventura. I preferred Azura, but I did think the product on Ventura was pretty good. And of course, me being me, I told you I was going to do 5 comments and I've lost count on how many I've done, but I think I've got one more. Neil, you did a similar cruise on Britannia in 2021 that took a day to sail up to Greenock and 5 days to get back to Southampton. Yeah, funny story about that. So when I went on my first cruise, so my policy at work was that basically if you chose to travel internationally and then you came back and had to isolate, you wouldn't be able to work during that period. So obviously you'd have to take it as holiday or unpaid leave. And I was so terrified because I was on a cruise ship that was just going to, was it Portland, I think, down in Dorset? Anyway, so I was on a cruise ship that was going literally 20 miles along the road from Southampton, and that was only it was spread across 5 nights. Now, I went on Shipmapper and opened the app, and we were in France, and I was petrified and ran to guest services to be like, please tell me that we're not docking this ship, because if we dock, then I've technically gone abroad. So yeah, luckily we didn't drop the gangway, which was great. But yeah, those cruises were funny, weren't they? Because as much as it was a different experience and that you weren't going abroad, it was still really good from a cruise point of view. Because I genuinely think the P&O experience I had going round to Liverpool for 6 nights was exactly the same as what I had going down to the Canaries or going down to Lisbon and stuff. So I really enjoyed them. Like, I probably wouldn't like to go back to a 6-night cruise to Liverpool, but yeah, I did really enjoy it at the time, and it was just amazing that we could get back onto the ships. But look, what I'm going to do, please feel free to continue firing comments in. This is amazing. I love it when so many of you guys have got chat for me. If you're new here, remember, thumbs up button, jump down below and smack it. And I am now going to talk you through the ships that I have got coming up. Now, what I'm not going to do is talk through ship by ship the dates of them all, because A, I'll probably get it wrong, and B, that's information it's just too granular for what we need to talk about. I also kind of like to keep it quite quiet what ships I'm on, just in case anything might go wrong at any point. But I will walk you through the order of the ships that I'm doing, because I cannot wait. So as you know, I'm currently up in Scotland, and later this week, I actually don't know when, but later this week I'll be heading back to the Midlands to then prepare for my flight to Los Angeles. So honestly, I'm so excited for this bit. So I am going to be flying from Heathrow over to LA at the very beginning of August. And then I'll be spending a full week exploring LA and chilling out on the beach around there before getting on my first ship. Now, my first ship is going to be back on Royal Caribbean. So I will be the second week of August jumping on to Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Seas. Now, anyone that is not familiar with Navigator, that is one of the older, smaller ships from Royal Caribbean, but she as a ship has been fully amplified to basically meet the standards of an Oasis, similar to an Oasis class ship. Now that means that that ship has got lots and lots and lots of the facilities that you would expect to find on the big Royal Caribbean mega ships. So for example, Navigator has got the Flowrider. She has also got an amazing pool deck. There's also an ice rink. There's also a lot of the dining venues that are on the big ships. So I am so excited that my next cruise is going to be on Navigator. My last cruise was on Rhapsody of the Seas, and this will actually be my third Royal Caribbean cruise this year. So because I'm going solo with Royal Caribbean, I'm basically doubling up loyalty points as well. So after this cruise, I'll be one loyalty tier above gold, whatever that is. So yeah, very funny that I've managed to achieve that within literally a 12-week window. But yeah, Navigator will be my next one. Now, in terms of where I'm going on that ship, I'm going to be on there for 4 nights, and that will be going out of Los Angeles, stopping at Catalina Island, which is a port relatively near the coast of LA, to be honest. And then from there, I'll be going down to Mexico to stop at Ensenada, which definitely gets some mixed reviews. So I'm looking forward to showing you guys what it looks like, because I'm kind of struggling with a lot of YouTube people I have just branded as in a whole new bracket, like vloggers or whatever you want to refer to us as, who have been to Ensenada, who some of them love it, some of them hate it, some of them say definitely get off, some of them say definitely stay on. So very intrigued to see what I think of that. And then after Ensenada, I'll go back to LA. Now, the ship that I'll be getting on after will be, and shockingly, I've had to load my itinerary down here so that I don't get this wrong. Now, the ship that I'll be getting on after Navigator will be Carnival Panorama. Now, Panorama is one of Carnival's newest ships, and I've never sailed with Carnival before, but I've got a couple of very different Carnival experiences coming up that hopefully will let you guys see what it's like to go on a brand new Carnival ship versus a much older Carnival ship. And I am intrigued because from what I can gather, they are loud, it's a bit of a party, there's a lot going on. I've just seen a message come in about the original Queen Mary, and I can tell you that I will be showing you the Queen Mary. I'm going to keep quiet right now on what guise I'm showing you the Queen Mary in, but yes, I will be on board the QM, and I will be showing you what it's like on there. So she's currently docked in Los Angeles, so do not worry, that is all booked and all ready to be shown. It's honestly, I can't wait. So Carnival Panorama, and for that one, I'll be going down to Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, 2 other Mexican ports, Cabo San Lucas, and then back up to LA. And from there, I then jump on my next bucket list part of my itinerary. So ship 3 for me on my next leg is going to be Cunard's Queen Elizabeth, which honestly still feels mad that I'm actually saying that, but I'm going to be jumping on to Queen Elizabeth, and I am going to be on there for over 2 weeks, travelling from the west coast of the USA over to the east coast of the USA. So what that means and why this is a bucket list is because I will be going through a full transit of the old locks of the Panama Canal on the Queen Elizabeth. And yeah, there's so much about that that I can't wait for. I honestly feel as though when I talk about that one, I like get covered in goosebumps. Annoyingly, I've left it through in the kitchen at the moment, but just before jumping onto this live, my mum said, "Oh, look, someone sent a letter for you." I definitely have left it in the kitchen. And I thought, well, that's weird. And it was branded Cunard on the front. And they've sent like a little welcome pack to basically say, like, we're really excited that you're coming on to Queen Elizabeth. And I think it's a standard thing that Cunard do, but it was so nice to open that right before coming on to talk to you guys. So I'll definitely show you that welcome pack booklet in a future video, because otherwise I'm going to have to run away, run away from my camera right now. So yeah, that is going to be ship number 3. And that then will take me from over here to over here. So I'll be getting off the Queen Elizabeth in Fort Lauderdale, which is in Florida. And from there, I'm going to have this couldn't be any more of a different experience. So I'm going to jump off of the Queen Elizabeth and get straight on to Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady for a 4-night sunset soiree, which is the cruise that takes you down to Bimini, which is their beach club. It also docks somewhere in the Bahamas, I think. No, Key West. Oh, yes. So that one is Miami, Key West, Bimini Beach Club, and then back up to Miami after a day at sea. So to go from Cunard, Queen Elizabeth, Panama Canal, to a party cruise on Scarlet Lady with a $400 bar tab, that is going to be quite the difference. So I'm very excited to see how how they compare, because I think, yeah, coming off of that, I think it'll be a bit mad. Anyway, after Virgin, I'll then be jumping on to Carnival Horizon, which that is literally, yeah, it basically is, I'll be getting off Scarlet Lady, sorry. I'll be getting off Scarlet Lady in the morning, and I'll be getting on Carnival Horizon in the afternoon. So yeah, that will hopefully be able to show us what cruising on an older Carnival ship is like, because that is much, 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 much older than Carnival Panorama. I can't give you any facts and figures on that right now because I haven't done my homework fully, but by the time it gets to me on that ship, I promise I will know all about it. And that brings me to the end of September. So that will be me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I've then got a bit of time, which I'm hoping to go and spend about a week with some friends up in Connecticut. So I will be doing, oh guys, honestly. So the mode of transport that I'll be taking from Miami to New York, I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but honestly, I am buzzing about that. So yeah, I will do a full vlog to show you it because I can't, I can't wait for it. But what I will tell you is that I won't be flying. So yeah, stay tuned and you will find out what that mode of transport is. But yeah, I cannot wait. Now, after spending a bit of time in Connecticut, I'll be coming back down and joining MSC. So MSC are the cruise line that started this year off for me on World Europa. I'll be joining MSC on Meraviglia, which is currently based out of New York. Now, that will then kick off 2 ships out of New York for me. So the first one will be MSC Meraviglia, and the second one will be Norwegian Escape, which is, yeah, I mentioned earlier in this video, but that one was my first ever cruise ship, so I can't wait to get back on and see how that one's changed. Now, both of those cruises are doing very similar itineraries, but different ports, and they go out of New York, head north to do like New England, Canada. They head up towards Quebec. Tina, not a Greyhound bus, it's even better. And they head up towards Quebec, and then they'll turn it and come back down towards New York. So date-wise, that then brings me all the way up to October, at which point I will be going elsewhere for a period of time. But I'm not going to tell you where because, yeah, that then brings me to the part of my trip that I cannot believe. I can't believe might be a reality, so I'm keeping that under wraps for now until I can get everything squared off and I can get all of my I's dotted and T's crossed. If you are subscribed to my Patreon channel, which is just patreon.com/Fraser at Sea, you guys will always be the first to find out how ships are going. I'll usually always try and check in with you in a blog when I get on board, and you'll also be the first group of people to find out what my future ships and what my future trips are. So yeah, if you are subscribed over there, don't worry, you'll always have, I guess, that privilege tied up to your account access. So yeah, that brings me until like the third leg of my trip, which, as I say, I'll brief you on in due course. Now, what I've done there is just briefed you on the next 7 ships on my itinerary. Now, what is so interesting is that my first part of my itinerary covered 7 ships. This part covers 7 cruises, and I'm going to stop talking about that third part because otherwise I'm going to blur out what I'm doing, and I'll regret that. So I'm going to keep that a secret. Just a call out from me at the moment. We've got oh my goodness, we've got 70 of you on the live at the moment. We've got 51 thumbs up. So if you are on here and you haven't given the live a thumbs up, please think about doing it because it is a massive help in pushing my channel and pushing this live out to people who maybe haven't discovered me yet. So yeah, please jump down below and give it a wee thumbs up. But what I'll do now that I've walked you through all those ships, I will take you down and show you I'll take you down and have a quick look through the comments, which, oh my goodness, there are actually quite a lot of you on here. So yeah, hopefully you don't mind the fact that I just shut off from you and focused on that itinerary, because otherwise it would end up, yeah, I would get so lost. Now, Cruise Boys, you're here. Hey Fraser, it's been ages since World Europa. We need to coordinate another cruise. I agree. Well, look, I've just told you the next 7. So what I need from you guys, so Cruise Boys, you are doing Harmony, Wonder, at Wonder of the Seas, I think. I think it's one of the big royals you're on in the US. Send me your dates because I hopefully would love to tie up with you for, I mean, it would be chaos if we could do some kind of joint vlog in the Bahamas. So yeah, tell me where you are and when, and hopefully I can catch up with you. Life in the Parks, there's usually cracking deals on Azura. Yeah, honestly, the deals on Azura last Christmas were absolutely insane. Tina, you also like Ventura. Such a shame Stephen didn't enjoy it. I agree. I also would love to go on those quieter ships again. Lindsay and Mark love Navigator. It was our first ever cruise ship. I didn't know that. If you've told me that, I don't think you have told me that before. I'm going to message you straight after this live because that is so cool. I can imagine what I would feel like if someone was going on Norwegian Escape. So I'm going to drop you a message on Instagram straight after this, so keep an eye out. Justin and Tristan, we're so intrigued to try Royal Caribbean, but big shipped out somewhat. Do you know what? I actually know how you feel because the last couple of ships I've done, which was like Costa Smeralda, Costa Toscana, MSC World Europa, Symphony of the Seas, like I'm actually quite looking forward to trying some of the smaller ones again because on Rhapsody I fell in love with being quite close to everything. So yeah, I'm also looking forward to trying some of the smaller ones a bit more. Cian, you're from Ireland, very close. There's just a wee tiny strip of water that separates us. So I'm from Scotland, which is just on the other side of the sea. But yeah, lots of people actually think I am Irish, especially when I'm on cruise ships. So Kitchen Queen, hello, welcome to the live. Thank you so much for joining. Alison, QE bucket list and also Panama Canal. Well, Alison, you're coming with me, and I obviously know that you are also on Patreon, so you will be getting many, many insights into what a cruise up the Panama Canal or across the Panama Canal looks like. I honestly cannot wait for that. Yeah, Panama Canal Old Locks literally gave us goosebumps as I choke. I agree, very exciting. I'm back in that world where I don't have my friend Laura to talk while I take a drink. But yeah, Panama Canal really literally gave us goosebumps. I completely agree. Mike, bucket list cruise. Lindsay, Mark, yeah, do you know what? I also can't wait for Scarlet Lady. So I have done Valiant Lady before, but Scarlet is going to be, I think, so different because it's that 4-night party cruise in hot weather. And the Valiant Lady I experienced was in cold weather, sailing out of Portsmouth just after COVID. And I've always thought a Virgin ship must perform better in the heat. So like Scarlet Night for us, it was all indoors. The top deck, the weather was miserable the entire cruise. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very different experience. Susie, you love Key West. So do I. I did a road trip years ago when I visited one of my best friends in Orlando, and I drove down to Key West in a convertible, a convertible Mustang, and it was that in itself was a bucket list holiday. But Key West, it really is something else. I'm intrigued to see what it's like on a cruise though, because one of the things I loved about Key West was being at, is it Mallory Pier, is it? And you watch the sunset go down over by those like, I dread to think, multi-million pound houses that are across the water. So yeah, very, very excited. Tamara, I've also seen the documentary on Virgin, and I am, yes, preparing for an interesting cruise is probably the best way to put it. I don't know if I'm preparing for an interesting cruise more from the documentary or from Lindsay and Mark, so Sweet Natured's cruise. So if you don't follow them already, the account that's popping up here that's called Sweet Natured, those guys have just been on a Virgin ship and yes, looked as though they had a lot of fun. So they've actually got like vlogs and stuff already live for Virgin. So if you are intrigued and you maybe can't wait until I go on them, jump over to that channel and you'll be able to have a wee look at kind of how they found it. But I think it's safe to say, safe to say parts of it were relatively messy by the looks of it. So yeah, Michelle, I think it would have been quite the experience if you went Greyhound. Well, I can agree. I think it would be quite the experience. Now, there might be another point this year. There might be, there might not be a period where I could do Greyhound travel. Again, I'm not telling you anything, but yeah, maybe don't write off the thought of a Greyhound trip yet because I might just surprise you. You never know. Justin Tristan, tell us, tell us, please. I will tell you, but probably in about 2 months from now. Yeah, watch this space on that one. My lips are completely sealed, and I've thrown away the key. Tina on imagine going from Miami to New York on a tuk-tuk. That would be an absolute disaster. It would also probably take the rest of the year to get there. So hopefully you're wanting to see more more cruise ships rather than have me doing every YouTube live every week now until Christmas from the back of a tuk-tuk heading north to New York. Kuya, thank you so much for encouraging the guys to give the live a thumbs up. Cruise Boys, you're on Wonder. That's brilliant. Yeah, if you drop me a message, that would be amazing. Danny, you've done Navigator and Panorama, in which case I would love you to drop me a message on Instagram and tell me what to do, tell me what not to do. I've just looked at the time and we are just over an hour, so once I get to the bottom of these comments, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for engaging so much with me tonight, guys. Stephen, entertainment a bit poor. Yeah, I have heard kind of, yeah, a bit hit or miss, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But yeah, where are we at? Alon, hello, lovely, welcome to the live. Maya, almost 5k followers, time for a party. Do you know what? It's so lovely that you noticed that. I am waking up every single morning at the moment. Do you know what? I've always done this. I don't know if it's normal or not. It's now normal for me, where every single day I wake up, and one of the first things I do is like go on my YouTube app and like swipe it and I go, oh my goodness, someone new has joined overnight. This is amazing. I've now got another person that actually wants to listen to me talk a lot of nonsense on cruise ships. And I couldn't believe that I'm now so close to 5k. So if anyone knows anyone who's remotely interested in the world of cruise ships, please feel free to recommend my channel because I think I'm gonna hit 5k when I land in Los Angeles, which, yeah, should be in about a week from now. And I am, honestly, I can't believe that this channel is growing to the point where there's a community of 5,000 of us. I'm actually, yeah, I feel so proud every time I think of it. And I love the fact that you guys are coming on all these ships with me. So yeah, if you know anyone that would be interested, please feel free to fire on my details. Yeah, Neil, mid-year plans sound amazing. All new ships to me. Can't wait to see your travels. And yeah, Maya, have a great next flight. So yeah, look, I guess that brings us to the end of my YouTube live, which yeah, feels a bit mad to say because that's been 65 minutes. My mum and dad are currently, they've been amazing keeping a very low profile actually. I'd half expected, I'm actually quite sad that our dog hasn't come through. So we took Wallace, our black Labrador, up to Loch Lomond today to go swimming. And I definitely thought he would have wanted to come through to say hello, but we've managed to keep him off. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for joining. I am going to sign off now and probably go and pour myself a large glass of Malbec and go and catch up with my parents. Now, if you are interested in getting any more cruise content, then please make sure that you're followed along over on Instagram, which is just at Fraser at Sea. You can also find me on TikTok at Fraser at Sea, and you can also find me on Patreon. So if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to jump on and support that way, then it would be lovely to catch up with you in a little bit more of a personal way over on Patreon. So that's just patreon.com/Fraser at Sea. But look, for now, thank you so much for joining me on what has been a lovely sunny evening here in Scotland. The next time I speak to all of you properly, I will be in Los Angeles, which, yeah, feels insane. Up until then, I'll keep you up to speed with what's going on here in the UK and what I'm getting ready for when I get over there. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Have a lovely night. Remember to give the video a thumbs up, and I will catch up with all of you on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean in Los Angeles in the USA. Brilliant. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys. Have a good night. Bye.